Hello, everyone, and thanks for watching the preview show delivered by FedEx. I'm Jonathan Merryman, filling in for Marty Snider, who is filling in for Chris Rice. He doesn't know what to do, not having these every other weekend off like he's having.
I know, he's got back-to-back races. The man's got to work. He's got meetings. I can't blame him. I hope I do a good enough job.
All right, I think you'll do just fine. Let's talk about the Coke 600, kind of three phases to this race. It looked like Truex was dominating it, then it looked like Jimmie was going to win on fuel mileage. In the last couple laps, Austin Dillon pulled one out and went and got the three back in victory lane for the first time in 17 years. So that's hard to sum up. I mean, it's a big race, big, long race.
And throw on top of that, Kyle Busch, who thought when he passed Truex at the very end of the race was going to be for the race win. He thought surely Austin Dillon's going to run out of fuel. But great job by Austin Dillon and that entire RCR team. You know, they've made changes on that race team, obviously with letting Slugger Labby go and moving up Justin Alexander as crew chief. So some tough decisions on that race team. So that just shows you the pressure involved with driving for Richard Childress Racing, you know, driving for your grandfather, driving that three car, all of that. Now he can take that pressure off of himself. And this wasn't one of those fuel mileage races that they kind of backed into. This was a fuel mileage race, Jonathan, where he ran up front all day long. He had a top six car the entire race. So credit to them. They ran up to the front, ran there all evening long, and were able to make the fuel last and get him in victory lane.
And they out-schemed the best in the business, Chad Knaus and Jimmie Johnson. And speaking of Jimmie Johnson, when we talk about Dover, where we're headed to this coming weekend, 10 wins.
He's pretty good there.
33% of the time he wins when he runs at Dover. Only 2 DNFs at that track.
Right.
But as of late, they haven't really been stellar. What do they have to do to kind of turn their fortune around there?
Well, I think Dover's certainly one of those places where you can say, we've got a setup that works, and then you're able to make it work and replicate it for a number of years. Jimmie Johnson has proven that. I think they'll be very strong this weekend. But, yeah, they don't seem to quite have the magic they've had in the past at Dover the last couple of races. They had that part failure a couple of years ago in the playoffs. But I can never count out Jimmie Johnson at Dover. He loves the feel at the racetrack, and early on in his career, he just got a feel for understanding how to set up a car for Dover. We talk about the term landing at Dover a lot. We talk about the term of coming off a two-story building and going into the corner. Well, Jimmie Johnson and Chad Knaus are the ones who kind of came up with that, and understanding that that's how you need to make the car work. If you can figure out how to get it to land and get grip off the corner, that's what they've been able to do. So Jimmie Johnson has always been strong here. Chad Knaus, terrific at this racetrack. I think they'll be good. I just don't know that they're the winning car this weekend.
All right, let's move back and talk about Joe Gibbs Racing. Do they have to win this weekend, or is that just kind of something we're saying because they haven't won? With this new playoff system, one win gets you in. So is it panic at Joe Gibbs Racing or just motivation?
I don't think so. Who would have ever dreamed that Richard Childress Racing would have 2 wins before RCR or before Joe Gibbs Racing had 1 win in 2017? I don't think it's panic at Joe Gibbs Racing, but I think it's certainly a time for them to get to victory lane. I think that's part of the frustration with Kyle Busch you saw after the race. You know, they had the speed at Martinsville for Kyle to win. They weren't able to capitalize. They had the speed at Charlotte for Kyle to win. They weren't able to capitalize. But if I'm Joe Gibbs Racing, what I walk away from Charlotte with is saying, hey, we brought more speed. They were much more competitive at Charlotte than they've maybe been all year long in 2017. So I think they continue that. I think Joe Gibbs Racing will be very tough this weekend.
Suarez won an Xfinity Series race there last year as well, so he's not too bad at Dover. But now we have to put our money where our mouth is. We're playing NASCAR Fantasy Live, a game on NASCAR.com. So who do you have to win it all?
I'm going to go with the Joe Gibbs guy. I'm going to go with Matt Kenseth to win this weekend. So strong at Dover, and one of those quiet types. You might forget he won there last spring. They showed more speed than I think a bigger jump than anyone else in the Joe Gibbs Racing camp at Charlotte this past weekend. So I'm going to go with Matt Kenseth at Dover.
We were talking a little bit before we started filming the show, and we're talking about, can you really pick against Jimmie Johnson? And I thought I was going to pick Jimmie, but I'm not going to do it.
I left the door open, and you're not taking him?
I'm going to pick Martin Truex Jr. I think the 78's going to go get it done. I think they're a little peeved about the 600 and not being able to catch the 3 car and getting passed by Kyle Busch there at the end. So I think the 78 car is going to take it to victory lane at the Monster Mile.
And you talk about dominating at Dover. They certainly did that last fall. Truex is going to be very tough this weekend as well, and in that Joe Gibbs corporate camp.
All right, Marty, now where we can find the race this weekend, it's the 888 400 Drive for Autism at Dover International Speedway. It's this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. That is going to be on FS1. Thank you guys for watching the preview show. Thanks for filling in for Chris.
And let me, it okay.
Oh, you did perfectly fine. Way better than that crew chief from the Xfinity Series. All right, thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in here all weekend long for everything you need to know coming out of Dover.